So episode 4 starts off right the next morning after OAO's disappointing look, and like where they had that awkward moment at the end. So here it starts with Tae in the living area, and OAO like walks up fully dressed, his red jacket, and he just has this like questioning look, I guess, or like cautious look on his face at the door frame. And Tae like immediately just breaks it. It's like, hey, come over here and like let's start tutoring, etc., etc. It's just kind of funny that Tae's immediate thing to do is like tutoring. And then I get the feeling here OU also kind of fakes the sniff that signals he has an itchy back while he's practicing the idioms. I think the Chinese idioms. And he sniffs, and then I feel like he was just testing to see if Tae would still like scratch his back or something, which Tae does. So at least they're still somewhat on a friendship level.
Yeah, I think it's nice that, Tae, despite the way things ended the previous night, that they're both doing their best to like make the best of it. Like, they're not salty, they're not angry, no one's like, I mean, people are probably hurt, but like they're still trying to keep things as close to how they were as before.
Yeah,
I guess.
And I feel like it does not help when Hoon comes back with his girlfriend. OAO and Tae get drawn into dinner with the girlfriend being brought home.
Yep.
And I feel like Soo-yi, the mom does what she does a lot, right? Is dote on the older child. And I feel like, I don't know if she realizes she's making Tae feel bad. But like I think she's just super happy that, Hoon brought home a girl. Hoon was trying to, deflect and say, well, Tae has a girl like that Tarn girl as well. And, OAO is just sitting there the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and even before they mentioned Tarn, I think, isn't it that like the mom asks, what do you like about Hoon? She asked to Nozomi. And Nozomi says that like, I can just be myself. I don't have to like put on a face to be with him. I can just be authentically me, and he loves me, and it never changes. And you see it sort of pan at that moment to OAO, who's clearly that those words are sort of resonating with him, and that, contrary to how he feels with Boss, like, or initially he just liked Boss because Boss was hot. Like, he even said that to Tae, right? Like, oh, I like him because he's handsome. What, like kill me, sue me. The guy's good looking. But now he's realizing that who he really wants to be with is Tae, because Tae accepts him and loves him for who he is, and that's who he's the most comfortable around.
Yeah. And also, I think that might have been actually after Sui teasing Tae.
Okay.
Because the mom was like mentioning Tarn. So Tarn, I think, was mentioned before.
Oh yeah, and she's like, "Oh, let me know when they become a couple."
Yeah, and then Tae's like, "Mom," and
yeah, Mom.
And then she's like, "Fine, I'll move on from this topic." And then she asked Nozomi what she likes about Hoon at that point. I think you could still see OU's face was like, yeah, he was just like, but he does actually agree to tell Sui like, okay, fine, I'll tell you when Tarn and Tae become a couple.
Yeah, he kind of plays along, and this kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier, right? Where he kind of goes with the flow. Like, I think he realizes at this point that this might be an unrequited thing, and maybe Tae isn't gay because he pulled away from him, and they're just trying to reset a little bit, like be friends again. And I think he's really trying his darndest to just play along with that as well as he can.
Yeah, although it hurts a ton, right?
Although it hurts. But yeah, you see him try to kind of go with it as best as he can. And he's got a lot of maturity. Like, it's demonstrating a lot of his maturity, He's not going to press the issue. He's not going to try to make it awkward. Like, he's trying his best at this point to ride things out.
Yeah. It also kind of shows also on the motorcycle ride back to the pier, when Tay brings up, like,
I think it was and he said, like, how are things with Tarn?
yeah, and like Tay's like, oh, it was so long ago I don't even remember. Which is funny because she actually was over in a previous episode. So, but I think, like, to him, I mean, yeah, a few months probably seems like forever ago as well. So, at 17, right? Like, not now when we're older. It's like time just flies. But yeah, and then Tay, he pulls over. He's like, hey, I don't want you to be mad about this. And he's like, why can't I be? And then he's like, fine, I'll never be mad like this again, etc., etc. So yeah, he's trying to, like, keep the friendship, right? And just, like, not get too worked up about it.
Yeah.
And then it's after that, I think, we really see Tay's inner turmoil, I feel like, as he tries to figure it out.
Yeah, he is really struggling. Like, he's on Instagram, he's seeing pictures of all his guy friends with their girlfriends, and he's sort of reconsidering everything with Tarn, who he had been seriously pursuing, like, as a love interest for the past few years. I think they had established earlier in the show.
Yeah, 2 years.
I think he wants to go clear things up because he's starting to... I think he needs to kind of hear it from someone else at this point.
Yeah. He'll get that clarity later on, but so I think it's interesting because the next morning, right? He's with, or maybe not the next morning, but he ends up in the grass field with Tarn. I guess she invited him actually for this. Tarn has kind of like a see-through top, and you can see her bra underneath. And she draws the Chinese hibiscus flower, and then asks Tay to color it. But, like, like, before that, like, Tay was, like, literally on his phone looking at a chat message from OAU, like, are you not up yet, pretty much. Yeah, like, he starts coloring the flower after Tarn asks him, and if you notice, like, she had set a purple pencil kind of, like, blatantly there, and the flower on her bra is also purple, so she was hoping he would do that, but she goes for the red instead upon seeing the flower. And it's like, that's also O's color, right? And then when Tarn realizes, she, like, immediately covers up, and she's like, what's wrong with you, blah blah blah. Tay apologizes, but then, like, I think OAO texts him, like, hey, I'm gonna be super early for tutoring. And so Tay, it's interesting because, like, we see Tay kind of, like, try to decide what to do just by, like, wandering around a lot, and then he finally just crashes into the grass.
Yeah he demonstrates a bit of an eccentricity, or, like, eccentric behavior here, where he's just, like, he's so confused, and he's, kicking the dirt, and then he just kind of collapses to the ground because it seems like he is at an emotional standstill. Like, he doesn't know, really what, even though Tarn is like, you should just go home, like, just get out of here. Like, I don't think he's really got it yet that she's on to the fact that he might not be genuine about her anymore. But he's still struggling with the whole thing with OAO and where he feels about that. So he's conflicted, but he does go to meet OAO at the cafe. Yeah,
but he had to tell OAO to meet him at the cafe instead of his home. And OAO tries to reach out to him with his fingers, and he retracts his fingers, right? And I think I think this is where OAO is starting to feel kind of, like, led on, right? Because he's, like, basically he's saying, can you be truthful? Just, like, be frank with me. And also, can you just please reply to my messages?
Yeah, because he was kind of ignoring him all day.
Yeah, he was ghosting him all day. And then Tay's like, you want me to message you every day? It's not been that? And I'm like, oh yes, it has, Tay. You've been messaging him back every day, each time. And I'm pretty sure they were probably messaging each other back like instantly too, right? When they could. But yeah, so obviously O's a bit hurt. He's like, fine, you don't have to do it then. And he's like, don't do this to me in the first place. And then walks off.
Yeah, so they're in conflict now, I think, and it's unfortunate, but it's kind of like, you know, things have to get worse before they get better, I guess. And so they go to school, and I think they don't they take a test at school?
Yeah, they do. They do the Chinese test. They go to the Chinese class.
Right.
The friends know something's wrong.
Yeah, and OAO doesn't do so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tay peeked at the score again and notices. I feel like he knew that O might not do very well, as well, but like he took a peek, saw it, and then like after class they were supposed to go out, right, to eat.
Yep. But O is like, I'm bouncing, and then Tay chases after him, and at that point Boss knows what's up, because Boss is like, yeah, there's definitely something here. Like there is a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of emotions here.
Oh, and it's just not Boss. The friends,
oh yeah, it's like all the friends.
Yeah, the friends are like, are they actually hitting on each other? So Tay goes after O, and Tay goes, dude, if you need help, let me know. And then O's like, you never understood me. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And then he walks off.
This was actually one of my favorite scenes of this episode, because it's like every time O pulls away, like Tay goes into panic mode and realizes how badly he's screwed up, right? Like, yeah. He chases after him, and I really like the line where he says, like, next time we go study at my house, right? Like he's trying to show that, you know, oh, you can come over again. Like, we don't have to be at a cafe. Like, I want you to come over. I want things to be the way they were. And you kind of hear this desperation in his voice that, like, he really wants things to be comfortable and good like they were. But he doesn't realize how badly, like, he's kind of screwing this up, because he's just not quite there yet. Yeah. With everything.
He's like, he doesn't want to lose O.
He doesn't want to lose him.
But he also doesn't realize O wants more than what's going on.
Right.
And O knows that Tay has feelings, I feel like, or something, right?
Right. Something.
Because otherwise, certain things wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Anyway, so I feel like this leads on to, like, a very important scene coming up, right? Like, Tay makes the idiom book.
Yeah, he sort of hand makes, like, a cutout book of all of the idioms to kind of help O memorize the Chinese, because he knows how badly he's ruining it. And he cuts up his own book. Like, he cuts up his own study book in order to make it for O. And this is just another way that I think Tay really shows his love, is that he's so invested in them learning and sharing his knowledge with them and helping them learn. Yeah.
And it's just how he shows his friends that he cares. Right? In particular, O, he goes, like, above and beyond to help. Yep. So he like takes that book to the island, and he doesn't go inside. He has I feel like the help take the lady who's, I guess, a helper probably. She, like, takes it up to O, and O's like, oh, you know, he looks at the book and like, oh, you can tell O knows who did this, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And he's just like crying. Like his heart is just like breaking or melting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he sees Tay. Like Tay is like just wandering in circles, and then he like looks into the door frame, and then he gets caught by O.
Mm-hmm.
And then like O walks down, and then you have this like,
you have this kind of dance.
yeah, the dance and the chase, right? Like O gets close, walks off. Tay follows, leans close to kind of do a sniff, and then O walks off again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much like a like an innocent sort of courting scene that we get here. Very beautiful, super packed with emotion as well.
Yeah, and it ends with them, behind the staircase, and like they hug.
Yep. Because O is basically like, in this moment, like, do you want me? Like, if you want me, come get me. Like, come, like, follow me. Like, show me that you are willing to meet me halfway, right? And he approaches him, and he comes to him, and
yeah. And so at this point, O knows for sure, right? Like that Tay has some feelings or something for him, and like they decide to go swimming. And well, they're more like floating than swimming.
Yeah, and it's cute because that's what they did earlier in the episode 1 when they were little kids.
Yeah.
Is this the thing they do when they just want to relax?
Yeah. And then they sink, and then they kiss. So this is the main kiss scene in the whole show. But it's very, like, a very passionate underwater kiss scene. And I feel like because it's underwater and no one's around, right? They're both fairly comfortable just making out. Especially for Tay. He does go for O's chest again, but instead of like, I think they break apart for a second, but that was because O broke apart, and then they just resumed kissing.
Mm-hmm.
After the kiss, right, they get out of the water, and like O helps Tay button up his shirt. They're super comfy with each other. I think O's like super hopeful this might lead to something more.
Yeah, they're being super coupley and like flirtatious at this moment. I mean, they've just kissed each other, so it's like, okay, we know that, if maybe the other night Tay was a little bit uncomfortable and didn't want to go anywhere, like now it feels probably different from O's perspective that Tay is sort of committing.
Yeah.
At this point, and so he is hopeful.
He's super hopeful, and then he asks, what about, like, what now? And Tay's like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, about us. And it's like, what about us? Like, can't we just be... The quick summary is, like, he basically says, can't we just be friends still?
Or, like, I like things the way they are, or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no, I don't want to commit to you.
And then O's like, do friends do what we just did?
Yeah.
And then O ends up breaking down, crying, asking why. Like, what did he do wrong? Mm-hmm. Like, you feel it too, so why are you doing this?
Yeah, I really like that line too, because he's like, what did I ever do? Like, what did I ever do to deserve this? Like, he's been forthcoming. He's been honest the whole time. He's been true about his feelings, about where his heart is. And he's like, why at this point do I not deserve you? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And he's desperate, and he's angry, and he's confused, and deeply, deeply wounded, I think, by Tay's non-committal sort of aloof attitude, right? Like, he's so over it.
He's very over it. He's also just like, he's super hurt. And at this point, he's like, okay, well, I can't keep doing this. Like, we need to break it.
Yep, we need to stop.
Yeah, he's like, he needed to like rip the Band-Aid off. So he goes, okay, you're no longer my friend.
Yep, and it's over.
It's over, and then he walks off. And then that's when Tay literally just breaks down because he realizes he just lost O.
Yeah. And here he is again, like, just, digging this hole for himself. This poor kid. Like, you feel so bad for him too, like he's so internally conflicted, and like, it's not like I want to place blame, but you do really feel bad for him because what he's going through is genuine, right? Like he's not trying to be a jerk. He's not trying to be an asshole, but he's definitely coming off like that.
Yeah, he's coming off like an asshole, but he genuinely does not mean to hurt this badly. He's just so conflicted. He's crying so hard actually that at least he's smart enough that he calls his brother to pick him up.
Right. Because I think he's devastated.
Yeah.
Like his friend just said, don't talk to me. And like, can you imagine the trauma? Because the last time they said they weren't going to talk to each other, like they weren't friends for like a long time.
A long time, right?
Yeah. So he's pretty shook up and, he's in despair. We kind of get to see at this point OAO kind of fall apart emotionally.
Yeah, he kind of breaks down and his parents are concerned, right?
Yep.
And they're like, what's wrong? And he's like, are you guys proud of me?
Oh, that killed me. I remember that line.
That made me cry. I'm actually kind of tearing up right now.
Oh,
but like,
yeah.
He's like, are you proud of me? And his mom's like, don't you dare question it, right?
Yeah, the mom was like devastated that her son would even ask that, like it was a wake-up call for the parents.
Yeah, and the parents are probably like, no, like we're proud of you no matter what. And the dad was just like nodding in agreement. And so they did their best to comfort O.
Yeah.
And then after that, right, like we see him try on that red lace bra.
Right.
He takes a photo of how it looks, posts it on Instagram, and then he deletes it and just breaks down again crying. And it's just so heartbreaking to see.
Yeah.
But then also, like, I think someone in the group, their friend group, saved the photo, right?
Yep. Sends it to Ted and says, hey, is he okay? He just he just posted this, kind of act of desperation post.
Yeah, I think it was actually to their group chat, right? Or was it just to Tay? It might have been just to Tay.
I'm scrubbing through it now. I think it was from Kai. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if it was in the group chat or just between him and Kai.
Okay. But either way, right? Like, Tay actually started, like, masturbating, and then he broke down, too.
Yeah.
At that point.
And what I love about this scene is, like, while he's masturbating, he looks over at Youngjian's photo. And what I thought was, at least the way I interpreted this, was maybe he's starting to realize that guys can turn him on and that he is turned on by Youngjin. And maybe the reason that he idolized him so much was because he was sort of in love with Youngjin, or the idea of Youngjin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
which maybe. I thought was a really cool touch that they like panned over to that.
Yeah, I was a little uncertain what was up with that too.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I could see it that way too. Like maybe he's into guys, right? Like he's idolizing Youngjin for this reason. But also because I went back to like, well, OAO did play Youngjin as well. So yeah. Maybe he's like kind of, I don't know, picture replacing, but they didn't show that. So I don't know what.
Yeah. I think it could definitely be something like that. Like it's definitely related, and we may not have got the director's intention, but I think those are both really viable. Yeah.
That happens, right? And then he goes over to Tarn and say you love me. Or was it love or just like? I think it was love.
Love, yeah.
And she says, okay, fine, I love you. And yeah, he breaks down into Tarn's arms basically after he kind of realizes he's not sure if he actually loves her still, or can love her. And he's just so confused. Like, he literally confesses, like, I'm so confused what's going on with me. And Tarn is sad because she's like, I don't know what to do to help you, right?
Yeah, she's like, this is a lost cause at this point. She's like,
I know I don't have you, but, like, I'm also kind of sad that you're just like, I can't help you either. So we do see Boss being, like, he notices that, it was gone for a while, right?
yeah.
And the actual examination day is approaching, I think.
Yeah.
The confirmation day for Tay confirming his admittance is definitely coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But so Boss got so concerned he goes to Oyo's place.
Yeah, and this part's sad because the sheets that are brought by the maid, Oeo is thinking, it must be Te, right? Because Te's always the one who shows up with my study materials. And he kind of lights up his face. He's like, oh, who is it? Where is he? And then he sees that it's Boss.
Yeah, right?
It is not Te. Sorry, sweetie.
Boss, questions him, and it's like, I might not take the exam. I might just work here with my parents. And then Boss is like super concerned upon hearing that, right? He's like,
yeah.
What? No, you can't do that. You really wanted to get communication arts. And we all know Boss at this point, he can tutor OO himself as well because he's really good with Mandarin. But like Boss tries to convince O, but he's so good at reading O that he's like, is this because of Tay, this whole situation that you're sad, etc.?
He knew.
Yeah. O asks like, why are we humans made to feel pain?
My God. When he asked that question.
Yeah.
And broke down in Boss's arms, I was like, yo, I have asked the same question out of desperation many times in my life when I've gone through similar things. I was so like floored by that line.
Yeah.
It just hurts. And you feel so much pity for him. And this is clearly his first time experiencing this kind of torment, right? From love.
It is really, really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, so that happens, and it so concerns Boss that on the day that Tay has to go, confirm his admittance, Boss, Kai, Maud, and Philip all show up.
Right.
And they're like, congrats, we want to send you off. And you're like, you don't want to send him off. Okay, you do want to send him off, but you're also there for another reason.
Yeah, they're concerned about O.
But Boss's face the whole time, I was like, yeah, he's like super concerned. And so he's like, do I really want to send Tay over? So he's like, I think you're the only one that can help. Can you please talk to him? They probably should not have told Tay this, but they told Tay that O would not take the exam. And Tay knows that O really wants to get into communication arts, right?
Right.
And Tay also knows he can probably get in by the regular admittance exam as well.
Right.
So when he goes to the confirmation, it's interesting, right? Like he notices there's one person missing. And when it's his turn to sign the form, he asks the proctor or the staff person, like, hey, when is the cutoff time to be here? And they're like, oh, it's in like 5 minutes. Or like they actually say the time, but he looks at his watch and it's like in 5 minutes. And then the girl shows up.
Yeah.
And then he was so hoping that O would get in by that girl missing it. And then when the girl shows up, he's like, oh. And then he like raises his hand and he's like, I'm not going to confirm. So that way O would get in through the wait list, and him giving up his spot for O.
Yeah, and actually I was not expecting that to happen. Like I had forgotten, like as the first time viewer of the show, I had totally forgotten that he had made the wait list. So I didn't see that happening.
Okay.
Like I was actually pretty surprised. Yeah. When he decided to bow out and let O take the spot.
Yeah. I actually had remembered it the first time through. So like I was like, oh shoot, he's going to give it up, isn't he? And he does give it up. And when O gets the call, he's like super happy, super excited. Texts his friends. Well, I think he does like a voice text or message. His friends are like, congrats. And one friend's like, who relinquished? And then when he goes to mark the day he needs to go to Bangkok down on his calendar, he sees the green marker marking that Tae had put in the calendar of his direct confirmation.
Right.
And so you can kind of tell O had forgotten about that it was Tae's day to confirm. But upon seeing that, he's a little worried, right? Like, oh shoot, did my best friend or ex-best friend just give up the spot?
Ex-best friend. Yeah.
And he knows it is something Tae would do.
Yep.
So he starts calling his friends. All his friends try to call Tae. No one can reach him. And it gets so bad he calls Tarn.
Right.
And then Tarn shows up at the restaurant, or Tae's home at this point. And to confirm, she doesn't want to like embarrass or cause a scene in front of like that entire group of people at the restaurant.
Yeah.
So she just texts him, right? And it's like, hey, did you give it up for O? And he doesn't respond. He just like gives her a look, and she's like, oh crap.
I think she's pretty livid.
Yeah, she is livid. She's like, why would you do that? Like, you're ruining your chances.
Right.
She probably knows O might not take the gift at that point too, right? When they start the argument, she's like, you're hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your family.
You should be saying sorry to your mom because your mom and your brother had to pay the money for this direct exam.
Yeah.
You're hurting your future. And she knows he's been skipping out on classes, so his GPA is probably not the best.
Yeah, probably tanked. Yeah.
Which would hurt his chances to get into the Honest Art.
Yeah, she gives him some tough love in this scene, and like, shout out to her actress too, because she really nailed it.
Yeah, and then comes in the mom, right? And the mom's like, why would you do that? Tae's like, O would never get in. Well, he doesn't say
My friend wouldn't get in. Yeah, my friend would never get in.
The fact is, O could get in. It's just that his friends had told him O doesn't want to do the exam, so he gave up his spot.
Mm-hmm.
And in this spot, in the documentary, actually, the director said Tae and Sui were getting so heated that he sent in the actor for the brother, Hoon, right? So he actually sent Hoon in. So this was kind of unscripted. They just like sent Hoon in to see if they could calm down the situation. And it worked out, right? Because the actress for the mom like grabbed onto Hoon. It's like, why don't you be like this, your brother? And I'm like, okay, that was probably the worst thing you could have said, but okay.
Wow. Yeah, I know, right? Right at this moment. Oh, man.
Yeah, and then he gets the mom to walk away, and then Hoon comforts Tae from that point on, right?
Yeah.
And then so Tae goes up, he's just bawling, crying as he sees like the check from his brother, the message from his mom saying she bought a suit. And then what really kills him is the Instagram story from O, I think. O basically uses the Chinese idioms at first, and then they start like crossing out lines from things they see to say like, you know, I'm giving this to you. O goes, no. And then Tae's like, ungrateful, you're being ungrateful. And then you do see on O's side the message from the friends are like, but he relinquished already. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And then he takes a picture of the admission book and says, I can do it.
His pride is so hurt, I think, at this point.
Yeah, his pride is so hurt. But also, like, you got to consider that, like, you literally had told your friends you weren't going to do the exam. And then they told Tae. So that's why he gave it up, right?
Yeah, it's kind of his fault, too. But he doesn't really see that, I think. He's just so bitter that Tae stepped in for him and basically like, treated him like a charity case, right? Like a welfare case.
Yeah, like a welfare case. He's so insulted, basically, that he doesn't realize the reason that it's happening is because he literally told his friends and it just went down the chain, basically.
Yep.
So that's how that ends. And then, you know, Tae just breaks completely down.
Yeah. And I felt really bad for Ted because I was like, Ted has screwed up a lot.
But that was the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, right? Like, it was a big mistake that he did that. But at the same time, like, it was very much consistent with his character thus far that the way he shows that he cares is giving of himself and giving what he can to support his friends.
Yeah.
And to not just think about himself. Like, he's very, very selfless, and it's to a fault.
Yeah.
Right. But it's very consistent, thinking that I'm doing the right thing by being selfless, when actually the lesson that he had to learn was that, even though that seems like the heroic thing for you to do, it's not the best way all the time.